Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to the Men Save Your Marriage show. My name is Terry. I'm your host. I did an autopsy on my failed marriage, and now I use the lessons that I learned to coach other men on how to save their marriage before it fails. I'm going to share with you the things I wish someone would have shared with me before my marriage failed. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome back. This is Terry. I'm your host, and as you know, this is the Men Save Your Marriage show, and we are on episode number 77. We're going to continue in this series about the silent war, and today we're going to talk about a very specific topic, the numb man, the man who is numb to everything. And we're also going to look at it in the same way that we have this past episode, regardless of where you fall from that previous series, whether you are a follower, a leader, or you're the man that's kind of standing on the sidelines out of the way. I want to really look at how being numb or numbing ourselves applies to all of us. So let's jump into this, shall we? Of course, you heard the bell. We just heard the opening bell in the introduction. That means that we're in the ring to fight. You and I, shoulder to shoulder, we're going to fight for your marriage. That's why you're here. But this round is quieter than most. You see, you're not bleeding and you're not angry. You're not shouting. You're just tired, detached, maybe faded. This is all numbness. Numbness is the state between chaos and collapse. It's the absence of emotion disguised as stability. It's when you stop reacting because you've kind of already surrendered. A numb man still shows up for work, still pays the bills, keeps the house in order, but there's no spark left behind his eyes. He's not really living, he's just kind of maintaining. I have described this in the past as I'm just going through life putting one foot in front of the other. Because you stop feeling pain. You also stop feeling joy. You don't cry, but you also don't really laugh. You don't lose your mind and get upset, but you've kind of already lost your fire. And that's what I want to teach you about today, because numbness is not a permanent condition or state. It's actually almost like one of the warning lights on the dash of your car. If you ignore it, though, it will turn to apathy. And if you face it, it can become an awakening. It will become an awakening if you face the numbness. And this lesson applies to every man. Again, it doesn't matter whether you're leading, whether you're following someone else, or maybe you're standing on the sidelines trying to remember who you are. It doesn't matter. This still applies. So let's break it down, shall we? Again, we're just going to talk about each one of these phases of where you might be. We're going to begin with the leader and his numbness. See, leaders rarely realize it, that they've gone numb until someone points it out. You've become so focused on holding everything together that you kind of stop noticing how detached you've become. You keep moving, but you've stopped connecting. And you're accomplishing maybe more than ever, but you feel less and less alive. Am I talking to you? See, the leader's numbness is built from overexposure. Too many responsibilities, too many needs, too many demands, and not enough silence. Now, at first, you may call it efficiency. You call it discipline. You may even call it control. Then one morning you wake up and you realize you can't feel anything. See, that leader's numbness begins when control replaces trust. You tell yourself, if I let go, everything will fall apart. So you hold everything tighter. Your emotions, plans, your people, maybe even your wife. You believe control equals safety, but control isolates. You lose connection because you're protecting yourself from disappointment. The strongest men I've met aren't the ones who control everything. They're the ones who have learned to remain open while carrying the weight of their role and their leadership. They feel their pain, they face their fears, and they stay steady anyway. Are you feeling your pain as a leader? Are you facing your fears? The next stage of numbness comes through performance for the leader. You've mastered looking composed and looking calm, but composure has replaced compassion now. You've become efficient at pretending you're okay. You say all the right things, you give all the right answers, but the fire that used to fuel you has gone quiet. Your wife can sense it. Your children certainly can feel it. You're there, but you're not really present. The cure isn't intensity. It is not intensity. It is honesty. You don't need to yell louder or push harder. You need to start telling the truth again. First and foremost, to yourself. Tell the truth to yourself, to God, and to the people who love you. A leader heals his numbness through confession, by admitting that strength without feeling is weakness in disguise. And every leader carries the temptation to believe he's the only one who cares. That belief turns noble duty into quiet bitterness. Resentment will say things like, I'm doing everything for everyone else and no one sees me. That voice grows louder each time you ignore your own needs. But leadership is not a punishment, it's a calling. You're not suffering for nothing. You're carrying what others can't because you were built for it. The cure for resentment is gratitude. Gratitude reopens your heart. It reminds you that leadership is a privilege, not a prison. The leader's silent war against numbness is won by restoring these three things: trust, truth, and gratitude. Because trust releases control, truth releases emotion, and gratitude releases joy. That's how you lead with strength and stay human. Now let's talk about the follower and his numbness. The follower's numbness looks different. It comes from stagnation. You stop feeling because you've stopped growing. You keep doing the same thing in the same way, expecting the same results, and you wonder why everything feels flat. A follower's numbness is a symptom of complacency. When you stop challenging yourself, you stop believing in yourself. The first stage of numbness in a follower begins when comfort becomes the highest goal. You want predictability, you want safety, you want calm. But comfort is not peace. Peace is strength under control. Comfort is the absence of pressure. Did you hear me? Comfort is the absence of pressure. When you stop inviting challenge into your life, you start drifting. Discomfort is what stretches you. Without it, you lose shape. If you're numb, add friction. Choose a task that tests you. You need to add friction to your life. Get uncomfortable on purpose. That's how you wake up again. And followers often use distraction to feel alive. You scroll through success instead of building it yourself. You fill silence with noise because silence feels like confrontation. But distraction is the digital version of numbness. It's constant motion without meaning. Men who live distracted rarely realize they're addicted to stimulation. You've trained your brain to chase dopamine instead of direction. You can't hear your purpose because your life is too loud. Turn the noise off. Your peace will return when your attention returns. And numb followers wait for others to lead them out. You depend on external motivation, someone else's words, a mentor's encouragement, maybe a woman's affirmation. You move when someone pushes you. You stop when they stop noticing you. That's not loyalty, that's dependency. You cannot outsource your discipline. Let me say that one again, just for myself, so I hear it again. You cannot outsource your discipline. Followers become leaders the moment they start taking action without applause. That's when numbness, that's when numbness starts breaking. Every man has to reach a point where he says, I'm done waiting for someone to give me permission. And that, right there in that moment, is when the fire returns to your belly. And finally, the man out of the way. The man may be standing on the sidelines. And let's talk about how numbness applies to him. The man that's kind of out of the way, he stopped pretending. He's not leading, he's not following, he is surviving. His numbness is total shutdown, mind, heart, and will. He used to care deeply, but too many disappointments convinced him it's safer not to feel at all. He's still alive physically, but emotionally he's gone dark. The man out of the way doesn't fight anymore because he doesn't think he can win. Apathy is self-protection. It's not that you don't care, it's that caring hurts too much. You tried being the good husband, you tried talking, you tried changing, you tried being patient, and nothing seemed to work. So you just stopped. You started saying things like, it is what it is, or she'll never change, or why bother? But every time you say that, you give up more territory inside of yourself. Apathy is comfort built from defeat. The way back isn't passion. The way back is purpose. Purpose gives you something worth hurting for again. Find one purpose bigger than your pain, even if it's a small thing, even if it's rebuilding yourself one routine at a time. Pain with meaning revives your soul. Pain with meaning revives your soul. Shame tells you that you are the problem, not your behavior. It convinces you that you're permanently broken, that no one wants you, that your best days are behind you. But that's not truth, it's accusation. You may have failed, but you're not finished. Shame thrives in isolation. It loses power when exposed to light. You don't heal by pretending you've moved on. You heal by facing what you've done, owning it, and deciding you're not staying there. You can't erase your history, but you can write a new legacy. And finally, hopelessness. Hopelessness doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like quiet detachment. You stop setting goals, you stop dreaming, you stop believing in change, and you start to think things like, maybe this is just my life now. That thought is the final trap. When you stop imagining a better future, you stop fighting for it. Hopelessness lifts when you move. You don't have to see the whole road to take one step. Hope is not an emotion, it's evidence of movement. When you take one small action towards rebuilding, you remind your brain that you're not done yet. If you are that man right now, then you need to hear me clearly. You are not beyond restoration. The numbness that you feel is not death. It is dormancy. You can come back to life, but you must decide to move before you feel ready. Movement brings emotion back. Emotion brings connection back, and connection brings purpose back. That is how resurrection happens in the life of a man. And now as we begin to wrap up, some final thoughts for all of you gentlemen. Numbness is not peace. It's the absence of engagement. When a man goes numb, his marriage doesn't explode, it erodes. His faith doesn't disappear, it just fades. And his purpose doesn't die, it just drifts. The leader must learn to feel again while still carrying weight. The follower must learn to stretch again while still serving. And the man out of the way must learn to believe again while still rebuilding. Each path leads to the same destination, awareness. Awareness is power because it gives you choice again. When you can name your condition, you can begin to change it. You are not stuck. You are simply unengaged. And disengagement is reversible. The first sign of healing is honesty. So say it out loud. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I've gone numb. That sentence breaks the silence of your internal prison. It opens the door for truth to enter, for God and for movement. You don't need to manufacture emotion. You need to re-enter responsibility. That's how feeling will return to you and to your life. And every man who fights this silent war will face this stage right here. But those who learn to stay open, who learn to stay teachable and reflective and honest, will rise stronger than they ever were before. And that's the point of this season. You're not just fighting to feel again, you're preparing to build again. Numbness is the middle between destruction and reconstruction. It's also the proof that God hasn't given up on you yet. The silence that you're feeling is not absence, it's space being cleared for rebuilding. And as we close this year and this season, I want you to see what's coming next. You've walked through fear, you've confronted pride, exhaustion, and shame. You've learned what silence and numbness cost you. Now it's time to rebuild. We're going to finish this series, and in January, we begin rebuilding the 10 pillars of your frame. Your frame is the structure that holds you together when life shakes you. It's the invisible architect of your standards, your presence, and your peace. When you have a strong frame, you stop reacting to every motion. You stop drifting with every storm, and you become a man who stands calm in chaos. Each of the pillars that I will be teaching represent one part of the foundation. Discipline, focus, identity, stewardship, emotional control, conviction, purpose, alignment, truth, and order. And we're going to build them together, one by one. The same way you win the silent war, one decision, one day, one truth at a time. So when the next storm comes, you don't crumble, you stand. Because men who have built their frame don't collapse, they command. That's where we're going next. And so finally today, gentlemen, as we finish, some marching orders for this week. Take 5 minutes today, just 5 minutes, and be still. No music, no screens, no noise, and ask yourself one question. Where have I gone numb? Don't judge it, just name it. Then take one small deliberate action to reconnect that part of your life to purpose. If you've stopped feeling, maybe you should start serving. If you've stopped leading, maybe you need to start listening. And if you've stopped hoping, you need to start moving. Because this war is not over. It's turning. Because you are listening and because you are learning, the war that you have been in is beginning to turn in your favor. So start serving, keep listening, and move. Your numbness is breaking, gentlemen. You are waking up, and your frame is coming. That's it for today, gentlemen. I want to thank you again for being here. I am so enjoying this series, and I hope you are getting out of it everything you need for where you're at in your life. I look forward to talking to you again soon, and I will see you on the next episode. In the meantime, take care.